welcome to another video, and it's been a little while, hasn't it? Yeah, because I've been busy in this garage clearing it out for another project that I'm doing down here. I'll give you a little clue what that project could be. And I've been tidying things up, and I've been also looking for potentially the next project car for the channel, which I put a poll up on my last one of my last posts on YouTube, and you'll see on that poll, what kind of car people were most interested in. Got to admit, might be too expensive. It is quite expensive. The holder value, so it might be the second one on that list. I'll leave it at that. You can go and have a look at the list and see. But I don't know yet. These things can fall down at the last minute, can't they? So who knows what car will come next. But we've got plenty of work to do on this car. So we're in the 2013 Mustang, and I promised in my last video that I would do a review on this head unit, because this is probably one of the most watched videos on my channel, which is the installation of this head unit. And a lot of questions are on that in the comments. A lot of people are asking, is it any good? A lot of people are asking, how does it hold up over time? So I've now owned this for over a year, and I'm going to do a full review on it with 5 bad points and 5 good points. Maybe 6, can't remember. Anyway, I'm just going to tell you truthfully, and would I still buy this today? So hit like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for this video, and you'll find out my opinion on this Chinese head unit. Right, so we'll jump into the good points. Good point number 1 is that this touchscreen here, or the home screen, is fully customizable. I mean, I'll show you. Right, ignore the beeps there, right? Ignore them. No seatbelt on and all the rest of it. So when you start this up, I've got the Agama screen launcher, and this is a very good app that you can download directly onto the unit if you've got Wi-Fi. Shut up! And this app allows you to customize the home screen instead of just getting the kind of standard Android app blocky screen. I'm going to wait till that stops. It's really irritating. Right, sorry about that. So this gives you a fully customizable screen. You can put your own picture in the background. I just love the Mach 1. I don't have one. I don't care what people say. I just love that car. And you can customize these buttons to whatever you want. So the standard Android kind of home screen just looks like your mobile phone, but a bigger version. And it's got loads of apps and stuff that I would never use. This cost, I think it was like £2.89, about $3 something, from Google Play Store. And people have asked, how do I get this onto the screen? I just simply connected the unit to my Wi-Fi in the house, which gets a signal out here in the garage, and I downloaded it via that way, and that was it. You get a trial version of it, not sponsored by them in any way at all. I just like the look of it better. So good point number 1 is you can make this screen look exactly how you want it to look. Excellent. Right, so good point number 3 is just kicked in. So I had the Bluetooth and the phone switched off as I was doing good point number 1. This is good point number 3, and as you can see, it's connecting automatically via an app called Z-Link, and it's connecting automatically to Apple CarPlay. So I've got an iPhone. I'll just turn the volume down here in case it does actually start playing music. But it does this by itself. So once you set it up once, you don't need to go and hunt for the Z-Link app and press it. When you get in the car, as long as your Bluetooth is switched on, it will connect to the phone via Bluetooth first, then it will connect via Wi-Fi to do Apple CarPlay, and you don't need to press anything. And that's the reason why I got this head unit, because I wanted Apple CarPlay, and the Apple CarPlay on this is excellent, very responsive and stuff. And you know, you've got all your usual Apple CarPlay apps with the maps and whatnot. I have a radio app on this, digital radio app as well, that I downloaded in the phone. But each and every time you get in the car, it does that by itself. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to have to get in faff and look for apps. I've got another head unit in our BMW F34 3 Series, and you have to go and press the Z-Link app each and every time you want it to connect to CarPlay. It doesn't do it automatically. I can't get it to work automatically. Whereas this one, as soon as you connect it once, it just remembers it and it does it each and every time, which is brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted. So that's good point number 2. Right, good point number 3. This phone to that is wireless. Wireless Apple CarPlay. It does come, and I did fit a USB cable because Android Auto phones aren't wireless. That's the only bummer. I don't have an Android phone. Other folks have got one that I know. Get in there. Other people have got one that I know, but the wireless Apple CarPlay was a feature that I really wanted because I just can't be bothered faffing. I did run wires into here, and you can connect via USB in the original socket, but the wireless Apple CarPlay was the main feature that I wanted, and that is so good. You just don't need to plug it in, just forget about it. I'm not going hugely long journeys in this car, so I don't need to worry about charging the phone or anything like that, but I do drive it almost every day, so having the wireless is just an extra convenience. The first world problem, I know, but it's an extra convenience that I really wanted. So that's good point number, what are we on, 3, 4? Can't remember. Anyway, let's move on. Right, good point number, that is number 4 now. Number 4. When you set this up, it comes up with factory settings and all that, which I'll just try and get into here. So if I go to apps and I go to car settings, this is the screen that you need to go in when you first set it up, right? And you get into factory settings and type in your code. It gives you all this stuff, and the 2 things I set up was protocol settings, which you set up as your make and model of car. So I've selected Ford, and there's a 0 to 9 to 14 Mustang, which is coming along the bottom here, and that seems to make everything work as it should in terms of the controls. And also protocol parameter settings, which you can change the temperature to the degrees Celsius or degrees Fahrenheit. You can change the look of the AC buttons. You can change the parking, the reverse camera settings, which is a great feature of this. It's got I put a reverse camera into this car. I'll just show you. There we are, see? It's installed the camera, and it comes with these lines which you can customise. That's a good thing. I'm going to gas myself out. And when you've got it in reverse, like I've just done, it automatically kicks into the camera, stick it into park, and it flicks back to the screen that you were on. And the point I'm making here is, all of this setup you only have to do once. And as you would expect nowadays, it remembers all of this. You don't need to go back in and change it. It doesn't reset every time you switch the unit off and on. And actually, when I've had the battery disconnected for a short time, it doesn't need reset either. It seems to remember it for a period of time. Don't know how long that is. Could be an hour, could be 2 hours, I don't know. But once you've set all of these things up, I've never had to go back in here and touch them. So that's good point number 4. One time set up and you're good to go for as long as the unit's in the car and as long as the battery's connected. Maybe if the battery dies for a couple of weeks, it'll die as well. I don't know, I've not got to that stage, but that's good point number 4. Setup is easy, quick to do, and it only is a one-time operation. Right, good point number 5 is these work. And if I press CarPlay here and press music, something should be playing, and I'll just put it on for a 1. But if you press the volume button, it will go up 1 on the thing there on the screen, and if I press volume again, you'll see it's going up and down, and it works flawlessly. And the volume works, and the skip track works. You can do all the rest of it via the steering wheel, which is perfect. Exactly what I was wanting. I'm just going to turn that down via hand just in case it does actually start playing. So the steering wheel control buttons work with the unit. And see that protocol setting I went into earlier on, the protocol settings for Ford Mustang 09 to 14? You have to set that to your car for these to work. Right? Ask me how I know, right? So you have to do that, but that was one of the main features. I wanted to retain these buttons, particularly for volume and skip track. I wasn't so fussed about the phone and stuff, but they work as well. I actually replaced these buttons in an earlier video because mine were completely worn down to white plastic, and these work perfectly with this unit. So, and the unit itself, I must admit, owning it for over a year now, it's very rarely failed me. and I'll talk about that in the next 5 things, but it is £250 was the cost of it, £259 or something like that, versus about double that for the Dynovan unit that you've probably all heard of. And I'll get into, would I replace this with a Dynovan unit in the next section. So that's the 5 kind of highlights of this. Overall, it's a great unit. The touchscreen's very responsive. The Apple CarPlay works flawlessly every time. It's never not worked. And it's basically a very easy to use unit once you've got it set up, and the screen is very clear. Hope you can pick that up in camera, because the colouring of the screen it seems to go out. Can I see the Mustang there? Look, it seems to go orangey. That's just the camera, that's not the screen. But it's very, very good. And you see I've got GPS set up in it as well, and it will come up here with the temperature outside if I drive outside. And yeah, it's just a really good sturdy unit, and it fits perfectly within the space of the old head unit as well. I resprayed this centre console though, a nice aluminium colour to try and match that, because this was very weathered, but did consider spraying this trim here. But it looks great, you know, it's in black. So very, very good value for money, and pretty easy to set up and pretty easy to install if you go and watch my install video. But let's get into stuff you really want to know. What's the 5 bad points of this? Right, so bad point number 1 is kind of the mirror of one of the good points, that the fact that this connects automatically to your phone, it's not instant, right? It does take a good few seconds. I'll just shut it off here, but let's see if it'll come on and try and connect. I need to turn the whole thing off, I think. Give me a second, I'll let it sit for a minute, and then we'll come back, turn it off completely, so it's if it's a new connection. Right, okay, so I've just shut Bluetooth off on my phone. So it takes a few seconds to get to that stage. I'll just, whoa, okay. That was fast. That's the way it should work. But sometimes when you turn that on, it'll search in that green screen for a while. I'll put an overlay of when I videoed this using the GoPro, and we'll see how long it took when it was completely shut down for, you know, over 10 minutes or whatever. But in general, when you're logging on, when you start the car and drive away, it takes about 10 seconds to actually get to this stage, if you've had the car shut off completely for any period of time. So doesn't sound long, does it? But see, when you're driving away in the car and you're trying to hit a map or something, it feels a lot longer than that. So on occasion it can take a little while to connect, and it's usually, like I say, if you had the car sitting overnight, the length of time I left it there wasn't enough, and it still connected very quickly. But now and again you do notice it. So if that's a problem for you, you might want to consider something else that's quicker. I don't know how fast the Dynovan unit is at connecting, but this one certainly, it does take a noticeable period of time. First world problem, I know, but it's still something you need to consider. Alright, so that's bad point number 1. Right, bad point number 2. Now and again, and I just mean now and again, I'm talking maybe once or twice in the past year, the screen has frozen and become non-responsive when you're trying to use the touch screen. And even these, they're not buttons down the side, they're more, I don't know what they are, they're kind of like touch screen buttons with icons over them, but they're not actually clicky buttons. Neither are these. They stop responding as well, all of it. So the only solution for me was to turn the car off and on again, because even the power button down here, which irritatingly is in front of the gear stick when you've got park on, it didn't work either. So the only option was to turn the car off and on. Annoying if you're sitting driving down the interstate or the motorway at 70 miles an hour and there's nowhere to stop and you just want music or a map to come on. But if you're just driving about town or in the house or something like that, just near your estate, just stop and turn it off and on, and it will kick back into life. Don't know why it did that. It wasn't as if there was an error message or a code or anything like that come up on it to tell me something was wrong, but it only happened, I'm pushing the boat to think of any more occasions than 2 than when it's happened. So it's infrequent, it's not enough for me to rip the unit out and get rid of it. It was just an annoyance, and it hasn't happened within the last 6 months, but still a bad point nonetheless. It has done that a couple of times. So if you're buying one of these units and you see that happening, it might not happen frequently, and I've got no explanation as to why it did. It just froze. Computers and stuff though, eh? They just break, don't they? For no reason. Yeah, sure. There's always a reason behind it. I don't know what it is. It's not bugged me enough to do anything about it. So that's bad point number 2. Bad point number 3 is similar to that one, but in 1 or 2 occasions I've played music and there's been no sound, despite the volume being cranked all the way up to 15 or 16 or whatever it is. And I've tried the sound on the Apple CarPlay just via Bluetooth and via the radio app, and there just was no sound and I had no explanation for it. Turned the car off and on and the sound kicked back in. When it froze, as I just told you about in the second item there, sound was still coming out of it, which makes it even more irritating because you couldn't change the track or turn it up and down. But on one occasion or twice, I just had no sound through the unit at all. And a lot of guys have commented on the other video that I did that they've got no sound from this unit at all when they've installed it. Now, I don't have that problem. It works. As soon as I put it in, I could hear the tunes coming out, no problem. I'm talking about a little blip that's for some reason caused it not to have any sound. Don't know. It's an Android unit. Maybe it tried to do an auto update or something like that and it just crashed it. No idea, but it's worth noting anyway. It's happened to me a couple of times, but again, it's not bad enough for me to rip the unit out and say, I don't like this. So that's bad point number 3. Right, now we're getting into it. The bad points 4 and 5 are the worst features of this unit, and probably ones that I would consider if I had some spare cash lying around, changing it for an alternative, and it's these. See the climate control, it comes with these buttons in inverted commas, right? They're not buttons, they're like touchscreeny things, whatever you call them. And you've got your defroster on that on the right hand side, and your fans either side of the volume knob, and then you've got your AC and temperature controls there. These are crap, right? When I press temp, it's supposed to come up on screen and bring up the temperature controls, right? Oh, there it's done it. After the 4th attempt there at pressing temp, the controls come up. And I press temp up and you'll see it's still sitting at 16. Now it's 16.5. I'm pressing this frequently, right, on the temp button, and it barely goes up at all. They're so, what's the word? Now it's working that I'm putting my finger directly on it. But see, when you're driving, you can't feel those buttons to actually just put temp up and down. You've got to take your eyes off the road and look down there and make sure your finger's right in the middle of it, or else it doesn't work. If you start doing it here, even missing it a wee bit, look, it doesn't work. You've got to get right in the middle for it to activate the climate control, right? And when I'm driving, the finger kind of wanders and goes over here a wee bit, and you end up thinking you're pressing it, look at it, and it's not went down. But sometimes these freeze, these buttons, and even when the unit's working and you can navigate via your touchscreen here, these don't work. And I hate them because I never use them. I just don't use them. I can't stand it. It's like we peaked in the mid 2000s with cars when you had 3 dials, temperature, fan speed and direction. Why do we need to complicate things and go the nth degree with dual climate control and garbage like that and various fan settings? Just give me the 3 dials. That's all I really wanted. So I really can't stand these climate control buttons in inverted commas. And this one here, for your rear demister, you've got ones here for rear and front heated screens. The car doesn't have a front heated screen, and half the time you press the rear one here and there's for some reason 2 icons on it. I've got no idea if it's rear defrost or not. And the circulation one, you can't really see that when you're sitting in the driver's seat and you've got the gear stick in park. You can when it's in drive. If you're sitting here in park, you can't see it because they're positioned right in front of the gear knob, which isn't the best, but where else could you really put them, you know what I mean? But yeah, those buttons aren't the best design at all. I would prefer physical buttons to press up and down, because you can just feel them as you're driving, up, down, no problem. So that's bad point number 4. And bad point number 5 is one of the worst, right? This is, hate this. So I showed you at the start, when I'm into the apps here, into car settings, did my factory settings, and get into the protocol. Oh, sorry, apologise. Protocol parameter settings that we need to get into, right? And you'll see if I scroll down here, there's one that says AC floating icon switch, right? So you press that to open, and what that does is it creates this little icon down here. See it? The wee kind of ice thing. You can move this icon around and place it anywhere on the screen that you want. I just leave it down there. And when you press that, you see what it did there? It flashed up and disappeared. When you press that, it comes up with the air conditioning screen, and you can navigate the touch buttons here to turn the heating up and down. I've only got single climate control, but it does both at the same time. Fan speed, rear. Sometimes I press that thinking it's the rear demister, but it isn't, it's that one. And then dual we don't need because we don't have it, and air conditioning on and off, right? I hate climate controls on a touchscreen. Hate, can't stand it. For the same reasons I can't stand those buttons. You cannot, I don't know, you're driving along, you can't feel these buttons, you can't just quickly crank it up to warm, you can't quickly turn the thing on to the demister if you start steaming up or whatever, and you can't turn the temperature up and down because you're doing this, and half the time if I'm driving I'm hitting it over here and missing it and looking down thinking, oh for goodness sake, I've only went up half a degree, and it only goes up half a degree at a time. It's a first world problem, I know, but it's very, very irritating. I just want dials back, I really do. And the Dynavan unit has buttons for the climate control and dials and stuff like that. So, but I believe this manufacturer, who I don't know who they are, because it's one of the Chinese sellers, sell one now with physical buttons for the climate control. Probably because everyone's complaining that this is rubbish. How Tesla owners cope with that, I don't know, but I'm never going to own a Tesla, so I don't have that problem. But this is just as bad, really. I thought these would compensate for it, you know, being more buttony-like, but they're not. They're just as crap as that. So that is that's the worst feature of this unit, that all the climate controls are basically touchscreen buttons. And sorry, my phone just went there. So yeah, like I was saying, I have actually considered ripping this unit out and getting a replacement just because of that, because it is so annoying. And I think that the Dynavan unit, as I say, is double the price, but the one that I've seen on the web, which looks like this 10.1 inch screen, but has a button up and down for temp, a button up and down for fan, I think it's around the same price as this, kind of the £200, $300 mark, whereas the Dynavan's double that. So I might look at that one, and I might, if I've got some spare change, take this unit out and replace it with that, because if you were dailying this car, believe me, you would get irritated by it as well. And it's probably the worst thing about this unit that would stop me buying it again. I wouldn't buy this one again if it had the choice of a buttoned one. But the actual unit itself, for CarPlay, for music, for sound quality, for image quality on the screen, perfect, can't fault it. You know, for reliability, 99% reliable the time, 99% of the time, no problem, right? It is purely the climate controls. And I'm probably an old boy that just wants the old stuff back, but I don't know. Put your comments below if you can't stand climate controls that are touchscreen. That just shouldn't be done. But really, that's the only two things that would make me change my mind about this unit. Anyway, cool. So yeah, so overall, it's well worth the money, that unit, I would say. And it is worth the 250 quid that I paid for it. I got what I was expecting, it works fine. But I'm looking for another one that's got buttons, actual buttons for climate control. So if this helps you, leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. We've got more videos coming on the channel. I've also got, look at this, wait, check this out, right? Hold on. Got my bullet alloys now. You see them, eh? They've been piled up in the corner for so long. I'm going to respray them, kind of anthracite in the middle, chrome on the outside, get some new caps for them. Tyres are all good, get them all cleaned up and get them on this car. And I'm going to try and maybe colour these red or buy red ones at some point. A few jobs to do in this car. I've got some engine dress-up stuff that I've been working on, just some new hoses and clamps and blue kind of braided hoses and stuff like that, so we'll show you that next time. But yeah, hopefully next time I speak to you, I'll have an update on the next project car and an update on the garage, which is quite exciting. It's something I've been wanting to do in the garage for a good couple of years, and hopefully in a couple of weeks' time it will be done, and I'll show you. If you haven't checked out my recent poll on the channel, go and have a look and you'll see what I'm talking about. But like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will catch you in the next video. Bye bye. Thank you.